everyone, here we are at the Lausitzring. It's a second race weekend of the DTM season 2022. We're at the beautiful Lausitz, which is absolutely idyllic, and it's only 100 kilometers away from the capital of Germany, which is Berlin. And we're psyched to be here at the Lausitzring, and already the kickoff of the season was in Portimao a few weeks ago, and it left us hungry for more.
DTM on the Algarve for the first time and a breathtaking season opener. And there's drama already in DTM 2022. Two champions running side by side. It was quite a weekend. On Thursday, some drivers were able to get an early adrenaline rush. On board, but in a different way this time. And with none other than the king of the big waves, Sebastian Steutner. It's cool that we're doing this, and with a real pro like Sebastian, who's been giving us a few tips. Obviously, these lads are used to speed. From one winner to the next, rallying legend Sebastian Loeb, racing in DTM for the first time.
It was tough. It was hard, long, hot, and the battle is quite intense.
And the battle for this man's crown will be intense too. All eyes are on the defending champion. Of course, it's great to have number one on the front of the car. A huge challenge, and I reckon that the fans can look forward to a thrilling and action-packed season. New, fast rookies taking on proven champions. Race 1 gave us an early look at this hugely competitive field. Victory for Lucas Auer and Team Windward. Lucas Auer underlined his title ambitions with a Race 1 win. The pace was good, the strategy was good, I'm happy. In Race 2, after more than 500 days, Nico Müller made a return to the top step of the podium. I think when you have the chance to score big points this season, you really have to grab it with both hands. And it could just be that the DTM season will continue exactly in this vein. The season opener at Portimao, a weekend that whets the appetite for a great title race in 2022.
Absolutely, and this season is going to be spectacular. We've got more brands and more cars than ever and such talented drivers. Now, the first race of the season was won by Lucas Auer. The second one was won by this young man, Nico Müller. Now let's find out who wins the third race of the season. Let's check it out.
So we've come to the Lausitzring, ready for the second weekend of DTM 2022. Great to see such a big crowd here as well. Two races so far this season and two different race winners. Marco Wittmann, one of the drivers, hoping for a better round two than he had in Portugal a few weeks ago. Only 6 drivers had 2-point scoring finishes, and only one driver made 2 podium finishes. Maximilian Gutz, there, the reigning champion, one of the drivers hoping to have a repeat of what he had last year, because this was the circuit where he took his first ever DTM race victory. However, after a really tight qualifying session, we've got Lucas Auer, the driver, starting on pole position for this first race of the weekend. Just 25 thousandths of a second quicker than his closest rival in the session, Sheldon van der Linde.
Lucas Auer here. I was really trying to get a bit nervous speaking about the weather, but starting in pole position and considering the fact that you started the season with a victory, there's nothing that can make you nervous, right?
That's what you think, huh? No, but obviously starting from pole is good. It will be tough next to the BMW. Let's see if I can actually keep the lead till turn 1, but that's what the aim is.
Absolutely. And considering the Lausitzring, how tricky is the track, and also what's it like for you with the fans, with the atmosphere here?
It's always great, always a lot of fans. The track is great, I love it. And now with turn 1 is even more special. And I think we will see a tough race and a lot of exciting moments.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Best of luck for your race, Luki. Thank you so much. And now here's your commentator.
So an 11th career pole position for Lucas Auer. third closest qualifying session that we've had in this new GT3 era of DTM. Sheldon van der Linde was on pole position here last year, but the races didn't work out in his favour. Can he score his second race victory in DTM? Lucas Auer, 25 thousandths of a second clear. Maro Engel was also really close to the pair of them in that thrilling qualifying session, just 67 thousandths of a second between the top three. Lucas Stoltz, one of the drivers on the podium in Portugal, has qualified fourth, so 3 Mercedes in the top 4. Felipe Fraga, the best of the Ferraris, qualifying in 5th place. Arjun Maini, who was quick here at the Lausitzring in his first season in 2021, completing the top 6 on the grid with Eng Feller, championship leader Bortolotti, and 3-time champion René Rast rounding out the top 10 starters for what's going to be a 55-minute plus 1 lap race here, the first of 2 in this Lausitzring weekend. Few drivers with work to do, including Marco Wittmann, who was fastest in one of the free practice sessions, but he's back in 16th place on the grid, and right behind him, starting 18th, last year's championship contender, Kelvin van der Linde. The top 3 from the previous race have to carry success ballast, 25 kilograms, 15 kilograms and 5 kilograms respectively, and one of the drivers with success ballast is Nico Müller, who is second in the championship but only 14th on the grid and with a heavy car. Here they come then, ready to head out onto the banking, this tri-oval circuit, and they use the full run into turn 1. They'll approach turn 1 at racing speed at about 260 kilometres an hour on the way into turn 1, powered by Autohero. An absolutely daunting corner. We've got the front row starters about to get the rolling start underway, though. Chris Hartley trackside to talk you through round 3 of DTM 2022. When the lights change, we'll go racing, and Lucas Auer and Sheldon van der Linde both away well. A great start from Philipp Eng in the blue 25 BMW from 7th on the grid, but it looks like Sheldon van der Linde's got his nose in front. He sweeps around the outside, and he's got the lead of the race from Lucas Auer. Lucas Stoltz, with a decent start as well, is there in 3rd place. The one that's fallen back is the pink Mercedes of the 3rd place qualifier, Maro Engel. Philipp Eng still that good start, but he's not really able to gain advantage here as they hit the brakes for the first time on the lap down into turn 2. And it is Sheldon van der Linde that leads the race in the Schubert Motorsport BMW. The pole sitter Lucas Auer there in 2nd, a tight squeeze through the left at turn 2, the right at turn 3. We've got one of the SSR Performance Porsches off on the road, which is number 94, Dennis Olsen. So Dennis with work to do, but he should be able to recover from that. And there, the race leader already giving himself 3 or 4 car lengths advantage. A good start for Arjun Maini in 4th place as well. He's come from 6th on the grid. And it's Felipe Fraga in the Ferrari in 5th place. And down from 3rd on the grid is Maro Engel, who's also in search of his 2nd DTM career victory. There he is, defending from Philipp Eng and Ricardo Feller, the first of the Audis. And there, running wide, is another of the Audis from AB Sports Lights, Kelvin van der Linde through the gravel trap and way out wide, and Michael Grenier, the Canadian, also in the gravel trap. A replay of the start. Philipp Eng to the right of the picture made a terrific start, but he just couldn't work his way through at turn 1. This is how it looked from the point of view of Sheldon van der Linde, how close to the wall they get on the right-hand side. A mistake here, and you are toast. And that was the reaction from the Schubert Motorsport team when they realised their man had got the lead of the race. A couple of incidents through the opening corners of the lap. Some contact in the middle of the field was what sent Dennis Olsen out onto the grass, the Norwegian. He was impressive in his first weekend at Portimao, and that's how it looked on board the Porsche. And there, that was the moment that Kelvin van der Linde, from way down the grid, just inside the top 20 in qualifying, some contact. Grenier went off as well, but right to the back of the field has dropped Kelvin van der Linde, who scored in both races at Portimao. So 1.7 second advantage in these early stages from Sheldon van der Linde. Marco Wittmann's made a pretty good start in 11th place. And side-by-side action here between 2 of the front runners in the championship. Nico Müller, who dropped to 3rd in the championship after qualifying earlier on. He's to the left in the 51 Audi. And the championship leader in the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini, Mirko Bortolotti, the Italian, just about fending him off. A huge battle going on between the pair of them. Maximilian Gott's just behind as well. All 3 of them outside of the points and outside of the top 10. 7 laps complete. The race leader comes through. He's edging clear all the time. 2.2 seconds clear of Lucas Auer. Doesn't have an answer to him at the moment. Lucas Stoltz in 3rd place. Arjun Maini, Felipe Fraga and Maro Engel rounding out the top 6. into the pits then for Lucas Stoltz. And lots of them have come in early as soon as the window opened, and he's got ahead of Lucas Auer. Look, they were the other way around for second and third. Fraga is in as well. Clement Schmidt in. Philipp Eng has come into the pits. Pit window these days opens at the end of the 10th minute. You have to pit between the 10th and the end of the 40th minute. But as a big glut of cars that have opted to come in early, not a great stop for Philipp Eng. So getting the tyres up to temperature. Look, Lucas Stoltz is the leading pit stopper. He was third in the race behind the blue and white Mercedes of Lucas Auer. But not a great pit stop, I'm afraid, for Lugi. The Austrian is now a net second, and it could put him off the second step of the podium. And now into the pits comes Sheldon van der Linde, the race leader, and he's not the only one. Arjun Maini on his way into the pits as well. They'll slow the cars down to the maximum speed limit of 60 kilometres an hour, and there just behind you can see Maro Engel has made his way in as well. René Rast has come in, Maximilian Gortz, looks like Laurens van Teur just behind him, the SSR Performance Porsche. It's now a race between the pit crews. It's going to be a race for Sheldon van der Linde to make sure he gets back out ahead of Lucas Stoltz. It's a big wide pit lane here. It's a long way out of the pit, so there is van der Linde released, all looking fine, out ahead of Arjun Maini. Not as far ahead of Maini as he was. They were first and fourth respectively, but that's not been a terrific pit stop from Schubert Motorsport. So it might give half a chance now to Lucas Stoltz and maybe Lucas Auer, just coming out over onto the start-finish line. And still coming down the long pit lane exit is Sheldon van der Linde. He won't be able to, until he crosses the white line, accelerate above 60 kilometres an hour. Then he's going to have cold tyres to begin with. And it'll be a struggle while he waits for the Michelins to get up to temperature. Rest of the field rejoining, and there is van der Linde, but look, he's not very far ahead of Lucas Stoltz, and Stoltz is going to come after him now in that Mercedes. On the runs through turns 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5, it will be a struggle for the BMW to get its tyres up to temperature. So expect that gap to come down. He's clear for now, but he's going to come under a bit of pressure, I think, for the next couple of corners. Lucas Stoltz senses an opportunity to go for the race lead, or the net race lead, potentially. Drop down the order, but others ahead of them still to make their pit stops. Closes up on the run through turn 5. And Mirko Bortolotti, the next driver to head into the pit lane. That's the racing team getting him underway, trying to work his way into the points. Carrying 5 kilograms of success ballast, 2 third-place finishes at Portimao, and the championship lead with it. In his first full season of DTM. Right, he's coming out down the pit lane exit. He should probably slot into around a virtual 9th or 10th place. Van der Linde long since through. And here he is heading down into the left-hander at turn 2. Lucas Stoltz still pretty close to him as they cross the line. But it looks like he's just got enough in hand here. And Ricardo Fella coming under fire from Felipe Fraga. Now, those two had switched around during the pit stop window, but the Ferrari driver, the Brazilian, quickly back down the inside. A good move under braking on the way into turn 2. He covers off the line on the way through turns 3 and the left-hander at 4. And the Ferrari heads of the Audi. Ricardo Fella, who is the best qualifying Audi, in 8th position. And this is a replay of Mirko Bortolotti, championship leader, versus 3-time champion René Rast. Bit of quality on display here. Almost found a gap. Oh, and I'm afraid Kelvin van der Linde has called it a day. Wasn't making any progress. May have had some damage to the car after that run through the gravel trap and the contact prior to it. And not good news for AB Sportsline, because it's a right rear puncture for Ricardo Fella now. He's only just gone past the pits, so a long, long way to get back to the pits, and that's a surefire point-scoring finish done with. Now, what's this? Wet tyres being readied down in the garages. Has it started to rain? It wasn't predicted to. But, yeah, the crowd, look, headed for some cover. So the rain has started to come down. Question is how much and how long will it last for? All the cars on slick tyres. Side-by-side action here with Laurens van Teur now having a go at René Rast. The Porsche just squeezing down the tiniest of gaps over the curbs, just missing the tyre stack and just nosing ahead of the Audi. Nick Cassidy is the race leader, 22 minutes plus 1 lap left on the clock. Marco Wittmann not far behind him in second, Nico Muller third. None of them have made their pit stop. Sheldon van der Linde in 8th place. He's effectively the race leader. There's some good battles going on further down inside the top 10. There's Tommy Preining in the Team Bernhard's Porsche, former Porsche Carrera Cup Germany champion, the young Austrian. He's on course for some points here as Nick Cassidy has come into the pits from the race lead. Former Japanese Formula 3 champion and Super GT champion in what's only his second weekend of DTM. Made his debut at the end of 2021 at the Lausitzring to try and help out Liam Lawson to the championship title. And he's had to miss the first round at Portimao because of his Formula E commitments. But here he is in what I'm pretty sure is going to be his first ever time racing a car at the Lausitzring. So he's going to emerge probably just around 10th or 11th place. Windscreen wipers on, stayed with slick tyres because the rain is starting to pass now. It was never really wet. And he's going to tuck in just alongside Maximilian Gutz and maybe just in front of Tommy Preining. Yes, he just keeps the Porsche at bay on the way into turn 2. But again, the car is going to move around under acceleration when he releases all those horsepower to try and get out of the corner with cold tyres on. And Tommy Preining now gets almost alongside. Now he does get fully alongside on the way out of the corner. There's a right-hander coming up at turn 5. The Ferrari's probably favourite at this point. He's got the inside line, even though the Porsche is just ahead. Brave on the brakes is Nick Cassidy on the cold tyres, though. Look, he stumbles into the corner. The car shakes its head. He loses a bit of traction, and the Porsche comes through. But look how much time he's lost, Tommy Preining, coming past Nick Cassidy in relation to Maximilian Gutz, who he was battling with. And Marco Wittmann has come into the pits from the race lead now as well, so Sheldon van der Linde moves further up towards the overall race lead. Muller, Olsen and Grenier, the others, making late pit stops. So Marco Wittmann looking to get his second points finish of the season. His quickest in free practice, but struggled in qualifying in the BMW. This is how it looks on board the virtual race leader, Sheldon van der Linde, who celebrated his 23rd birthday, the South African, just a couple of weeks ago. So he's already long since turns 2, 3 and 4 he's gone, and there Marco Wittmann tucks in behind Maximilian Buch. So he's got just about 18 minutes plus a lap to make these new tyres work and try to get himself up into the points. Will the tactic work? A later pit stop. It's been going pretty well so far for Marco. Damage limitation from much lower grid position than many anticipated he would have for the 2014-2016 champion. Oh, that's David Schumacher, I'm afraid. He's coming to the pits to make his stop, but he's not going anywhere. So they're wheeling that one into the garage. And Winwood with the car down, and Felipe Fraga into the pits as well. Now, he was looking for a top 5, top 6 finish potentially, but he's headed straight for the garage. And that's another retirement. And another one. Nico Müller has come in, left his pit stop late. He had a vibration, and the team advised him to come in and retire the car. And Dennis Olsen's another one that's dropped out of the race late on now, dropping like flies. Stay out there, you might score some points. A very high rate of attrition here at the Lausitzring. So Sheldon van der Linde picked up the overall race lead. Look at that, 241 kilometres an hour almost for René Rast in the middle of turn 1. Arjun Mining and Felipe Fraga second and third quickest. That's through the middle of the corner at turn 1. This banking, huge bravery required from the drivers. It's quite a bumpy surface here as well. Another factor physically for the drivers is that this is a rare anti-clockwise circuit, testing a different side of their neck muscles. Sheldon van der Linde starting to look comfortable. Oh no, that's Tommy Preining dropping out. He gets some consolation from the team. He drove really well. He was on for a top 10 finish, but no points, I'm afraid, for Tommy either. So the Porsche is the latest to retire. Well, van der Linde is just under 4 seconds clear of Lucas Stoltz. Lucas Auer is still pushing hard to stay more or less on terms with Stoltz to try and get that second place back from the German driver. And van der Linde through. Looks like he's on an absolute pair of rails. That car set up beautifully. The biggest compliment you can say is that he's kind of making it look easy. Into the final 3 minutes of the race here then at the Lausitzring. And it's just a case now, surely, for Sheldon van der Linde of bringing it home, not putting the car under too much stress. Stoltz in second, Auer in third. Fourth place, looking for his second best ever DTM finish, is Arjun Mining, who got his maiden podium at the final weekend of the season at the Lausitzring in 2021. He's not far behind, but maybe running out of time now to get himself onto the podium. Maro Engel from third on the grid to fifth. Mirko Bortolotti, more decent points, sixth place in the Lamborghini. Still one or two spots of rain on the camera lens, but I think that's from earlier. Looking down at the grandstands, the umbrellas have gone away now. So they just about got away with it. What's this? A replay of way out wide, an airborne Maximilian Gutz, and you can see to position with no traction coming out of the corner to Nick Cassidy. That was for 9th place. So Cassidy in his third race in DTM, his first of the season. Looks like he's going to score 9th place and 2 points that come with that. There's an extra point for fastest lap as well if you finish in the top 10, and Sheldon van der Linde got that before the rain, so he's going to get a maximum score of 26 points here. He comes for the final time out of turn 10. 3 races, 3 different winners. Victory is going to go to Sheldon van der Linde.
Oh my God, wait! We freaking did it again! Yes, baby! Oh yes!
Well, huge emotion in the cockpit for Sheldon van der Linde. He also gets the fastest lap from earlier on, so it was almost the perfect day. Just missed out on pole position, but what a fantastic day. Second career victory in DTM. He's had to wait 2 years since his maiden victory at Assen in 2020. Stoltz and Auer will join him on the podium. And there, the rest of the top 10 finishers in the points. But the key story of that race were the number of retirements that we had during the course of that 55 minutes plus 1 lap. Some big names out, and that's what we say. Consistency in 2022 is going to be absolutely critical.
Of course, one of the most exciting races I ever had in the last years, fighting with 5 different guys for position 10, you know, for the last point. But this was quite nice. I had very good start, gained some positions, and I lost another positions again. Pit stop went okay, but then it starts really hard to fight with René Rast and with Mirko as well, and with Cassidy in the end, and with this 2 Porsche guys. So it was a tough one, but in the end enjoyable for me.
Well, even the defending champion finding it tough in this hugely competitive 2022 field. Having enjoyed his slow down lap, here is the victor though. There's only one place he's going. On the top of the car, he climbs aboard the Schubert Motorsport BMW and raises his arms, a winner, and that is going to taste so sweet, that victory, after what was a very tough 2021 season. New team to DTM Schubert Motorsport, a very experienced one. Lucas Auer started on pole position, 3rd place. It's his 2nd podium.
I'm now here with Lucas Auer. I did tell you it's going to rain, but luckily, I guess, after the race. And you're now, even though you're only P3, from P1 to P3, you're the championship leader now. So I guess that brings a smile to your face.
Yes and no. I mean, now I look on the race, and starting from pole, I think Sheldon was out of reach, definitely. But then we had quite a poor pit stop, which cost us another position, and that was it, basically.
So how does that affect the championship standings? The answer, Lucas Auer moves to the top of the leaderboard by 1 point. Mirko Bortolotti drops to 2nd, and there's only 1 point between 3rd and 4th positions as well. Sheldon van der Linde, who's been in the points in all 3 races and is now a winner in 2022, moves up straight up to 3rd place in the championship table ahead of Lukas Stoltz. No points today for Nico Muller and several other drivers, so Nico drops down to 5th place in the championship.
Absolute maximum result for us. So I'm really happy with how the day went, and that's our win, our personal win, to be honest. So I'm really, huge thanks to the team. They did a fantastic strategy, fantastic pit stop, and I think we did our homework really well and maximized our package today. So tomorrow is another day, and we try again.
So this was the moment of glory for Schubert Motorsport, who take their first ever DTM victory in what is only, of course, their 3rd race in DTM. And it's a 2nd career victory after a really controlled, dominant display for Sheldon van der Linde. Time now then for the podium presentations. Race victory and a huge cheer for Sheldon van der Linde. A great moment for him and for the team. 2nd place goes to Lukas Stoltz, 3rd place to Lucas Auer. So Lukas Stoltz He's been really impressive in his first DTM season, a second podium finish.
I tried to catch Sheldon, but yeah, he had a really great pace. I really pushed it hard, and I thought I was really close on his outlap because our guys did an amazing pit stop. So I was really close at his outlap, and I tried to overtake, but yeah, it was really, really difficult.
So the top three drivers, the winning team, all represented. The champagne is opened. And guess what? Sheldon van der Linde wins that race as well, which is quite impressive because Lucas Auer is normally absolutely mint at getting the champagne open. He is, though, as we saw, going to end the day as the championship leader. It's all about this man, though, Sheldon van der Linde. Absolutely superb. Great effort by the team to put together a wonderful car as well.
Your brother put so much pressure on you that maybe that even helped you win the race. I mean, maybe that's a really good idea. And how happy are you it's raining now and not during the race?
Oh man, you can't even imagine how high my heart rate was when it started raining. The guys are like, it's raining harder in turn 1 and I was only in turn 5, so I was like, holy shit, I just hope it's going to stay dry somehow, and it did. Luckily, it only started raining now, which is obviously mega, and yeah, I'm just so happy. I mean, it's 2 years ago that I won my first DTM race. Last year was a very tough year for me personally. I mean, you guys know that I had so many DNFs, and it was hard to take at some point, and that's why this one feels so much better.
Well, just about the perfect fairy tale day for Sheldon van der Linde, but if there's one thing that we have learned about DTM 2022 is that every day is different. What will tomorrow bring? Each and every session so far, we've had pretty much different track conditions. So they all start again tomorrow for round 4 of the championship.
What an exciting first race here at the Lausitzring. Sheldon van der Linde managed to secure victory. And indeed, this season is so exciting. We've got 29 drivers, amongst them one woman, Esme Hockey. We met her in Dresden.
Hey, I'm Esme Hockey. I'm here in Dresden, and of all places to be, it seems to be raining. And now I'm looking forward to coming back and conquering the Lausitzring turn 1 again, and I can't wait. The special turn 1, yeah, it bit me in the arse last year a little bit.
We've had a hit there for Esme Hockey in the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini, damage to the front of the car.
Everything okay? Everything okay? I'm okay.
It was a racing incident and she was able to get over it. She knew what the mistake was, handled it very professionally and didn't make the same mistake twice.
This year I think my main goals are still the same as last year, maybe get some points this year. So my first memory of motorsport is watching my father racing, and a special memory was at the Monaco Cup that he used to race in. And yeah, when I was there watching, I said to him like, oh, this looks pretty cool, could I get into it? But whenever you're at a racetrack, and even still to this day, you don't see many females around, so I didn't think it was a sport for women. That's my responsibility, to promote females in motorsport, and hopefully by being on the DTM grid, young girls will be able to see a female racing against all these guys and think, I want to do that too. Yeah, I mean the DTM's amazing. It's got so many great fans. It really feels special every time you come to each and every track. Yeah, my father's been a big inspiration throughout the whole of motorsport. For my 8th birthday, I was bought a go-kart, and that's how I got into motorsport, and that's where the story begins, and here we are today, still going strong.
Ready to burn some rubber? Well, we certainly are. There's plenty of sunshine here at the Lausitzring, and we're eager to get started, to get racing, and hopefully we're expecting a very, very hot race. And the man who's very hot, the man who's on fire, is Sheldon van der Linde. You did a fantastic job yesterday securing victory. Today you're starting a pole position, so what are you going to do? Just going to repeat yesterday's success?
Yeah, look, Farina, I think the plan is pretty clear. I mean, I'm one step better than yesterday in qualifying, so I don't have to pass anyone before turn 1 like I did yesterday. yesterday. So that thought is already out of my head. I can just focus on maintaining the lead now. Obviously, we have success ballast as well from yesterday, so that's going to be tricky to really keep, especially Rene and Mauro behind. It will be super quick. The Lambo as well is very quick today. So I'm looking forward to racing my good friend Rene, 3-time DTM champion behind me. Let's see.
We're all set then for the second race of the weekend here at the Lausitzring. Sheldon van der Linde securing pole position right at the end of the session. Not such a good weekend it has been for Maximilian Gotz, who got his first ever DTM race win here 12 months ago. He's starting way down the grid. Mirko Bortolotti, a real championship contender this season. He's been in the top 6 in all of the races so far this season. There's Ralf Schumacher, whose son David Schumacher has qualified in the top 10 for the first time in only his second weekend of DTM competition. Maro Engel also qualifying well once again inside the top 3. He starts just behind René Rast, who is back on the front row of the grid for the first time since his return to the championship. Sheldon van der Linde, though, is very much the man to beat this weekend. This is how then the top 10 shapes up. Van der Linde and Rast on row 1, Engel and Bortolotti on row 2. Ricardo Feller, who left his qualifying really late, starts 5th. Nico Muller 6th, the two Swiss drivers together, and then Nick Cassidy, Lucas Stoltz, Lucas Auer and David Schumacher rounding out the top 10. Qualifying split by just a 1/10 of a second. Philipp Eng had a good start to race 1. Can he do the same from 11th on the grid this time around? Marco Wittmann has looked quick this weekend, but things haven't come his way. The double champion has to start this one from 12th on the grid. Kelvin van der Linde, one of the drivers to fall back during the final 60 seconds of the session. He was 7th, but he's going to start this one back on the 8th row of the grid. It was a very dramatic qualifying session, which saw a red flag, and then the cars having to go back out with just 4 minutes remaining on the clock. So it was a frenetic 20-minute qualifying session, and the big drama was because of Felipe Fraga's flaming Ferrari. He went out, he hadn't completed a lap in the session, and the car went up in flames. Felipe quickly parked the car in the gravel trap, got as close to a marshal point as he could, hopped out of the car safely, thankfully, but it was a big fire, and Felipe then helped with the recovery and the fire extinguishers to try and put the car out.
There was some alarms on the system. I didn't know what was it, so I was speaking with my engineer, and then it started to be really hot inside the car. I saw a big flame on the mirror, and then I just ran for the marshals to help them with the extinguisher, and that's it.
So Felipe Fraga will be missing from the grid. 28 cars will line up for another 55-minute plus 1 lap race. 3 races so far, 3 different winners. What about this one? Not a good start on the formation lap for Michael Grenier. There is smoke pouring from the left rear corner of his Mercedes, and the Canadian in trouble here already. He was in the gravel trap on lap 1 of race 1, and it's because he's got a puncture, so he'll head for the pits. We're about to get the rolling start underway. Sheldon van der Linde on pole position, but as the race 1 winner, he carries 25 kilograms of success ballast. René Rast alongside. We go racing then here for the second time this weekend at the Lausitzring, and it's a good start for Sheldon van der Linde. René Rast has got trouble though, because on the inside of him has come Maro Engel in the Mercedes from 3rd on the grid, and to his outside he's got Mirko Bortolotti from 4th on the grid. And the Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini, they thunder then through turn 1 down towards the first braking zone. It's Sheldon van der Linde in the lead, but it's anybody for second, and Mirko Bortolotti switches from the outside to the inside. Engel goes side by side with Rast. It's 3 together, and there's a bit of contact. Maro Engel onto the grass. He'll rejoin just in second place, right in front of Mirko Bortolotti, and that holds up the Italian. So now René Rast gets back alongside him. Ricardo Feller trying to go with his Amp Sportsline teammate, but Nicky Timoff on the grass through turn 2. We've got Marco Wittmann on the grass coming out of turn 4, and all of the carnage has given a massive lead to the pole sitter Sheldon van der Linde. Engel comes through in second, Rast in 3rd, out wide there Rajan Maini in the Mercedes, trying to come from the 7th row of the grid, having finished 4th in race 1. And Rast there just ahead of Bortolotti, who's trying to come back at him as they make their way through the infield section of the course. Somebody else kicks up the gravel trap here, so a very frenetic start to the race. A replay of the rolling start then. Another good getaway for Sheldon van der Linde. This is how it looked on board with Mirko Bortolotti, trying the long route around the outside of turn 1. Hopping, skipping, bouncing over the tarmac there. Maro Engel up the inside of the Mercedes. Look how close to the wall they get. Trying to then switch and find a gap was Mirko Bortolotti. At the last moment he pulls out. Engel's already up the inside of Rast. 3 doesn't fit into 1. There's a little bit of light contact, enough to send Engel off. He rejoins right in front of Bortolotti. Has to get on the brakes, basically, to avoid going into the back of the Mercedes. There was the contact. Engel did well to recover, but watch when he rejoins. Directly in the path of the Italian, and that was close. Dramatic stuff, and not a good run through the turn there for Tommy Priding as he puts the Porsche with two wheels through the gravel trap. Kelvin van der Linde trying to come up the order there in the black and white Audi down the inside now of the Mercedes of Maximilian Gortz, and into the gravel trap goes Tommy Priding. So he's got trouble here, and it'll take him ages to get out of there. He'll rejoin eventually on the track. He'll deposit loads of gravel, loose stones onto the circuit, which won't be great for everybody on the next lap around. There's a replay, just understeered wide. And the moment on the previous corner coming through the gravel trap might have possibly given him a puncture, which sent him out wide there. So Tommy Priding in drama. Sheldon van der Linde leading the race. Engel starting to maybe come back at him a little bit now. Rast and Bortolotti next up. Feller in fifth, side by side for sixth place though, as Nico Muller now gets the inside line going into turn one. He's already just ahead of Philipp Eng coming onto the lap, but Eng really did have a big go at him. There's no further action for the start incidents and the start of the race, and still side by side they come. Nico Muller's a bit further back, but he's got the inside line. On the curbs he goes. Philipp Eng just squeezed in that gap there between the tyre stack and the Audi, has to get off the throttle, and that brings Nick Cassidy and the sole remaining Ferrari onto the back of them. So great battle going on for sixth place, but an unfortunate weekend for the former Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland champion Thomas Priding. He's out. Right, the pit window is open, and early stops we're seeing as we did yesterday. So Ricardo Feller and Philipp Eng and Lucas Stoltz amongst those that have come in and are going to risk a long second stint on the Michelin tyres. 6 work on the car, 4 change tyres, and it's going to be very tight between Feller and Eng. Eng might just get the jump on him, and he has. So Philipp Eng gains a place. A great stop from Schubert Motorsport. They have to wait until they get to the white line to accelerate above 60 kilometres an hour. This will seem agonising for Ricardo Feller, who's right underneath the rear wing of the BMW here, and who's going to be the bravest on cold tyres as they now spring back into action. Come out of the pit lane exit. Philipp Eng in the BMW knows he's going to have company when they get down to the braking zone for turn 2. This is a replay of just how close it was. Feller had to get on the brakes because they have to squeeze through those 2 bollards on the exit. There's only room for 1, and that's where he lost the position. Now the next bunch of cars come in, including Maro Engel and Nick Cassidy. Laurens Vanthoor, Marco Wittmann comes in as well. So again, relatively early pit stops in the first quarter of the race. Change the rear tyres first, then change the fronts. The Mercedes is dropped down, and a good stop from the Gruppe M Racing team. Well, finishing has come in as well. Nick Cassidy has come out in the Ferrari just ahead of the SSR Performance Porsche. Marco Wittmann at the back of that train. So well will they come out relative to the others. Oh dear, that's Nicky Thiem stopped. He just had his pit stops. That's pulled off on the grass on the way out of turn 1. Not a very good weekend at all, I'm afraid, for the local team, T3 Motorsport from Dresden. Nicky Thiem out already. So Maro Engel is the leading pit stopper. Philipp Eng, then Nick Cassidy has come out just in front of Ricardo Feller in the Audi. Laurens Vanthoor up there in the SSR Performance Porsche as well. Now Cassidy on cold tyres, he's going to have his work cut out to try and fend off the 21-year-old Swiss driver, last year's ADAC GT Masters champion, and they're going to go absolutely side by side coming out of turn 4. Meanwhile, more front runners come in as René Rast in, Mirko Bortolotti into the pits as well, and Sheldon van der Linde, the race leader, already in ahead of them, coming out now in the red and yellow Schubert Motorsport BMW. Rast gets underway just ahead of Bortolotti. David Schumacher, another that's made a pit stop in the background. So they're all about to come out of the pit lane exit now, but it's a very, very long pit lane exit here on the inside of turn 1. So here are the leading pit stoppers. Maro Engel, who was in second place. Seems like they're a long way back, but still they're coming down this pit lane. Look, so there is van der Linde, Rast and Bortolotti, but with much more speed now on track and his tyres up to temperature. Here comes Maro Engel. So this is effectively for top 3 positions once the others come in to make their pit stops. René Rast is trying his best to keep Maro Engel behind, but Maro just drives around the outside of him. Just about gets the car dragged back onto the racing line before he goes onto the grass. Wasn't the ideal line into the corner, but Maro Engel had to be absolutely positive there to make sure he stayed ahead of René Rast. Much closer gap than it was before, though. Lukas Stoltz just in front of David Schumacher. And oh, that was a replay. Schumacher coming out and giving a kick to the tyre of the SSR Performance team. And Dennis Olsen was making his stop. Lock-on effect and a good catch by the mechanic. Here then is Nico Muller, race winner in Portimao, coming out of the pits, and he's going to be in the mix for a top 6 finish here after failing to finish race 1 yesterday. Seems like such a slow speed, doesn't it? 60 kilometres an hour, and used to these cars doing 270 kilometres an hour. He comes out right in the thick of the action here, right in front of Philippe Eng, just behind René Rast. This is for a net 4th place. Eng is around the outside. He should have a way more grip on those tyres, which are up to temperature for at least half a lap or so. The tyres on Nico Muller's Team Rosberg Audi is going to be very skittish. So he tucks in behind Philippe Eng, but just ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. So Bortolotti is the one that's lost out during this pit stop window. He's effectively gone from 4th to a net 6th place. We've still got Kelvin van der Linde, Esteban Moot, Maximilian Goetz and Dev Gore yet to make their pit stops. They're 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but they will drop way out of the top 10 once they do, though. Try and leave their stops as late as possible now and hope that a safety car comes out. So Sheldon van der Linde with the advantage in this race, and it's Nico Muller versus Mirko Bortolotti once again on the way through turns 2 and 3, which they're taking 3rd gear over the curbs. The Audi looks like it's on the back foot here. Bortolotti gets alongside a slide with the rear end of the Rosberg Audi, and that allows Bortolotti to get his nose in front, but Nico Muller still got the inside line for the right-hander coming up at turn 5. You're on board with Nico now. Race winner at Portimao a few weeks ago. Down the inside he goes. He's got his nose in front of the Audi, just about snatches his position back. Getting on the gas now, unleashing all the horsepower right behind him is Mirko Bortolotti to try and get the run up towards the left-hander at turn 6. And that doesn't work. All the time Riccardo Fella getting a bit closer to them in the background. So too Nick Cassidy. A great scrap that's been going on for a number of laps between those two. Replay of Cassidy versus Fella. Good move down the inside, under braking on the way to turn 2. That was where the Ferrari got ahead, and then coming out of turn 4, wide for the Fella Audi. 4 wheels on the grass. He lost another place. Also wide, David Schumacher, who went from 10th to 15th on the first lap of the race, but he's trying to get his way back up towards the points finish, but a bit of a ragged run there is not going to be of any great help. Sorts of cars running out wide in this race, struggling for grip because we've got the hottest track temperature of the whole weekend so far, well over 43 degrees. Now, side by side between Marco Wittmann and Laurens van Toor, again wide and ragged for the Audi of Riccardo Fella just ahead of them. And now we've got the Porsche and the BMW separated by just a few centimetres, but the Porsche at the inside line gets through. Laurens van Toor, the Belgian driver, through. The Porsche worksman ahead of the 2-time champion Marco Wittmann. And getting closer and closer to them in the background is the driver that picked up the championship lead after the first race of the weekend, Lucas Auer, in the Winwood Racing number 22 Mercedes. Looking to get some good points here. If he can, it will be his 3rd points finish of the season. 24 minutes plus 1 lap to go in the race. Question is that success ballast going to hurt Sheldon van der Linde as the race goes on? It's more weight to carry out of the corners, it's more weight on the brakes, it's more pressure on the tyres, especially through the high-speed turns like turn 1, and it might be for the last 10 minutes of the race that he begins to struggle. We'll see. Maximilian Goetz has come into the pits from what was 3rd place, but he's going to rejoin way down the order. That next group of half a dozen cars coming down the start-finish straight are all going to come past him, so Max is going to be somewhere down the tail end of the top 20, I'm afraid. Tricky weekend it has been for the reigning champion, and he's not the only one that has suffered here at the Lausitzring. Right, Riccardo Fella, Laurens van Toor, Marco Wittmann, all in a battle here, and Marco Wittmann goes for the move on the way to turn 2, and they both go straight on onto the grass. In particular for Wittmann, he straight lines it, he's going to try and rejoin. Lucas Auer goes past 1, goes past 2, and then Wittmann rejoins just in front of the car. He was trying to overtake the Porsche of Laurens van Toor. The other Porsche of Dennis Olsen is right on the tail of Lukas Stoltz just behind. So that was a brave attempt from Marco Wittmann, and it almost paid off, but he just couldn't quite get the car slowed down in time. Meanwhile, Lukas Stoltz on the way through the right-hander at turn 5 was just enough to keep the Mercedes ahead of Dennis Olsen. There's a replay from a different angle. There was some contact on the way into the turn. Wittmann went for the move. They both braked as late as they dared, and they both missed the apex of the corner. Straight and almost into the back of Ricardo Feller went Marco Wittmann. That was very close. Lucas Auer says thank you very much and gains 2 places without really having to do anything at all. But there should be no damage to either car. They should be able to continue on with no real problems. Another replay of more action in this fight for 4th place. Oh, and that is Nico Müller getting too close for company to the left rear corner of Philipp Eng on board with Nico. Just gave him a couple of tags there, and the Austrian did well to control the BMW and actually pulled away a little bit coming out of turn 10. Oh dear, that is Marius Sugg with a right rear puncture, headed into the garage, the 19-year-old who showed some good promise in terms of the speed that he's had so far in DTM, but has had not a great deal of luck so far. And also going slowly is Nick Cassidy all of a sudden. So what a torrid day it has been for Ferrari. So he's headed for the pits. Could be possibly a slow puncture, but that looks like the end of his chances of getting in the top 10. Final lap of the race. Sheldon van der Linde has been doing really well to keep up his pace. He's only a couple of tenths slower than he was 10 or 12 laps ago, but Maro Engel is keeping up the pressure. The gap is just 7/10 of a second. René Rast has fallen away a little bit in 3rd place. Eng, Müller and Bortolotti still absolutely nose to tail in the final lap of the race for 4th position. Sheldon van der Linde has driven beautifully once again, but the car is becoming a real handful now on this final lap, with that success ballast killing the tyres. Maro Engel just feigns a move to the inside, never really attempting a move, just to try and put off the South African to catch his eye in the mirror, make him miss his braking point, his apex, but it's not working. And Sheldon van der Linde getting under more and more pressure, showing his nose up the inside again, much more intent this time from Maro Engel. They go through the last sequence of corners and into the final turn now. At turn 10, Sheldon van der Linde's got to get on the throttle here. Maro Engel is going to try and come along the inside of him. It's going to be the closest finish that we've had so far this season, but it's just enough for Sheldon van der Linde, who takes the checkered flag and wins from Engel with Rast in 3rd. Well, an emotional day, an emotional weekend for Sheldon van der Linde. What a fantastic drive with that success ballast to take his 2nd win of the season, of the weekend. He's 3rd in DTM. Engel and Rast join him on the podium. Eng managing to fend off Müller and Bortolotti for that 4th place position. A good effort from 11th on the grid. Others, though, weren't so successful and didn't make it into the points. A really difficult weekend for Sheldon's brother, Kelvin van der Linde, here at Lausitz. He'll be hoping to get away with much better results next time out when we head to Italy. Then the rest of the finishers and a number of DNFs. Not much luck this weekend either, I'm afraid, for Michael Grenier and Felipe Fraga. Never made the start of the race and had a DNF in race 1 as well. Well, there is the joy. Sheldon van der Linde leapt onto the roof of the car yesterday, and he'll leap into the arms of his team here today. Schubert Motorsport taking him to his 2nd win in 2 days.
What a fantastic weekend. I mean, do I need to pinch you a little bit maybe? It's crazy, right?
You do. It's honestly, I can't believe it. I mean, today I really knew it was going to be very hard with the weight we had from yesterday to win. Obviously, today was going to be such a mountain to climb. But we climbed that mountain, and I think the start was really the key to success.
Time then for the podium celebrations. It is former DTM legend and champion Kurt Tim that presents the winner's trophy, a DTM champion to a DTM championship leader. He was pushed all the way, though, to the checkered flag by this man, Maro Engel, coming home in 2nd place.
Fantastic. I mean, you got a 2nd place and it was getting closer. I mean, seriously, it was less than a second. You were trying your best to overtake.
I was trying everything. I actually nearly crashed the car on the 2nd last lap in turn 1. I had a massive snap, but the aero wash when you're behind in turn 1 is, you know, it's a lot. Tried everything, but super happy for our guys. You know, we've finally we've got our season now started. Great to be on the podium, and yeah, hopefully continue like this.
Well, a terrific race too here at the Lausitzring, and that victory puts Sheldon van der Linde onto the top of the championship standings. 66 points for him. Mirko Bortolotti 2nd on 51, and Lucas Auer drops to 3rd place on 48 points. Pretty good day for René Rast as well. Finally this season, he picks up some points.
Obviously, the start was a bit, Maro got you right away, and you were trying so hard to get your place back, but in the end, it's a third place. But then again, it's a good third place. So how happy are you with that?
Yeah, definitely. Our goal was to finish on the podium, which we did, luckily. It was very tough, the first lap. I mean, we thought I tried to go around the outside of Sheldon, and then they were just coming at me in turn 2 and passing me left and right. I got hit from behind, they went straight, and it was a bit of a chaos there. But in the end, obviously, very happy with the podium, a good point for the championship, and finally some confidence back to, as that I can still drive a DTM car.
Oh, he can still drive all right. 41st career podium for René Rast. Good to see him back up there. Great drive as well from Maro Engel. But the absolute man of the moment, no doubt about it, is Sheldon van der Linde. First driver to win 2 races this year, and he moves to the top of the championship table. Add his name to the list of potential 2022 DTM champions. Still a long way to go, though, and a very different challenge next time out as we head to San Marino. Great racing then here from Lausitz.
Wow, what an amazing show we had here at the Lausitzring. It was a phenomenal race weekend, and this really makes you hungry for more, doesn't it? So we're really looking forward to Italy in 4 weeks. It's going to be exciting, that's for sure. So see you then, and now here are the highlights, and see you in Imola in 4 weeks. Bye-bye.